Ants may be tiny, but their world is anything but small. They are among the most successful creatures on the planet, found almost everywhere except Antarctica. Scientists estimate there are at least 20 quadrillion ants on Earth, far more than the number of humans. These little insects have been around for over 140 million years, surviving the extinction event that wiped out the dinosaurs. Their secret: incredible adaptability and teamwork. Ants live in colonies that can range from a few dozen individuals to millions, and they have complex social structures with queens, workers, and soldiers, each with specific roles. A queen ant is the heart of the colony, capable of laying thousands or even millions of eggs in her lifetime. Some queens can live for decades, making them one of the longest living insects in the world. In contrast, worker ants may only live a few months, constantly foraging, defending the nest, and caring for the young. One of the most astonishing abilities of ants is their strength. An individual ant can lift 10 to 50 times its own body weight, depending on the species. That's like a human lifting a truck. They use this strength to transport food, build tunnels, and even fight off predators much larger than themselves. Speaking of teamwork, ants communicate through a sophisticated system of pheromones, chemical signals that tell others where food is, warn of danger, or coordinate complex tasks. Some species, like army ants, work in swarms to overwhelm prey, while others, like leafcutter ants, form massive trails to transport leaves back to their fungus gardens. And yes, some ants are actual farmers. Leafcutter ants don't eat the leaves they collect. Instead, they use them to grow fungus, which serves as their primary food source. This makes them one of the few non-human species that practice agriculture. Another mind-blowing fact: certain ant species take captives. Slave-making ants raid neighboring colonies, steal their pupae, and raise them as workers. These captured ants grow up believing they are part of the invading colony and work tirelessly for their new masters. But not all ants are aggressive. Some species form alliances with other insects, like aphids. The ants protect the aphids from predators, and in return, they milk the aphids for a sugary liquid called honeydew. It's a fascinating example of mutualism in the insect world. Ants also have incredible survival strategies. Some species can float on water, linking together to form living rafts that keep the colony safe during floods. Fire ants are especially skilled at this. They can survive for weeks on the water's surface, ensuring their survival even in extreme conditions. And if you thought ants couldn't get any stranger, some have evolved venomous stingers, while others spray acid as a defense mechanism. The bullet ant, for example, delivers one of the most painful stings in the insect world, often compared to being shot. Even their architecture is impressive. Some ant species, like weaver ants, build nests in trees by weaving leaves together, using silk produced by their larvae. Others, like the Sahara silver ant, have heat-reflective hairs that allow them to survive in scorching desert temperatures. But despite their amazing abilities, ants face threats from habitat destruction, climate change, and invasive species. Some colonies have been wiped out due to human activity, disrupting ecosystems that depend on them. Ants play a vital role in nature, acting as decomposers, soil aerators, and even seed dispersers for plants. Without them, many ecosystems would struggle to function properly. From their astonishing strength to their advanced societies, ants prove that even the smallest creatures can have a massive impact on the world. Ants are some of the most remarkable creatures on Earth, and their abilities go far beyond what most people realize. Did you know that some ants can heal their injured nestmates? In certain species, worker ants will clean and treat the wounds of their injured comrades, increasing their chances of survival. This is one of the few examples of medical care seen in the insect world. Some ants don't build nests underground. Instead, they live inside hollow plants, forming symbiotic relationships with trees and vines. In return for shelter, the ants defend their plant hosts from herbivores and even prune competing vegetation to ensure their tree gets enough sunlight. Amazingly, some ants don't walk at all. Instead, they glide through the air. Arboreal, tree-dwelling. Ants have evolved the ability to control their fall, steering themselves back toward the trunk of their home tree if they accidentally drop from a branch. Ants also engage in warfare, and some battles can last for months or even years. The Argentine ant, for example, has formed a vast super colony stretching across multiple continents. When different factions of these ants meet, they engage in fierce battles, sometimes involving millions of individuals. Some species practice extreme forms of defense. Colobopsis explodens, known as the exploding ant, sacrifices itself when threatened by rupturing its own body, releasing a toxic, sticky substance that immobilizes and kills enemies. This kamikaze-like strategy ensures the colony's survival, even at the cost of individual workers. Another strange adaptation. There are ants that use living barriers. Army ants, for example, don't build permanent nests. Instead, they create temporary bivouacs by linking their bodies together, forming a living fortress to protect the queen and larvae. These colonies constantly move in search of food, creating one of nature's most efficient hunting forces. And speaking of movement, some ants create living bridges. Army ants and fire ants will form bridges using their own bodies, allowing their colony to cross gaps, water, or tricky terrain. These bridges can be dismantled and rebuilt in seconds, making them one of nature's most impressive engineering feats. Not all ants work tirelessly, though. In some colonies, there are lazy ants. Researchers have observed that a portion of workers seem to do little to no work, but their purpose remains a mystery. Some scientists believe they act as backup workers in case the colony faces a sudden loss of active foragers. One of the most bizarre ant behaviors, they can zombify each other. The fungus Ophiocordyceps unilateralis infects certain ants, taking over their nervous system and forcing them to climb high up on plants. Once the fungus has complete control, it kills the ant and sprouts a spore-releasing stalk from its body, spreading to other ants below. And ants aren't just tough on land, they can survive in space. In 2014, NASA sent ants to the International Space Station to study how they adapt to microgravity. Amazingly, the ants adjusted by spreading out more and using teamwork to navigate without gravity. Their intelligence is also surprising. Some ants are capable of counting their steps. The desert-dwelling Cataglyphus ant uses an internal pedometer to measure how far it has traveled from its nest, helping it navigate back home across featureless sand dunes. And did you know that some ants use tools? Certain species will collect pebbles, leaves, or even bits of dirt to drop into liquid food sources, soaking it up like a sponge so they can carry it back to the nest. Even their sense of time is incredible. Ants have internal clocks that help them stick to strict schedules, ensuring that foragers, nest builders, and caretakers all perform their duties at the right time of day. And ants can even be grave diggers. Some species, like the red harvester ant, have specialized workers that remove dead colony members and transport them far from the nest, reducing the spread of disease. One of the strangest ant species is Harpagnathos saltator, also known as the Indian jumping ant. Unlike most ants, they can leap several times their body length to catch prey. Even more unusual, if the queen dies, some worker ants can undergo a transformation, developing reproductive abilities to take her place. And get this, some ants are resistant to radiation. Certain species, like the common pavement ant, have been observed surviving in environments with high radiation levels, making them some of the toughest insects on the planet. Some ants have built-in air conditioning. Leafcutter ants construct massive underground nests with complex ventilation systems that help regulate temperature and humidity. Their tunnels are designed to channel fresh air deep into the colony, ensuring the fungus they farm thrives. And did you know ants can have multiple queens? While many species have a single ruling queen, others, like Argentine ants, can have hundreds of queens per colony, allowing their populations to grow at astonishing rates. This is one reason why Argentine ants have formed one of the largest supercolonies in the world, stretching across entire continents. Even stranger, some ants don't have queens at all. In certain species, workers reproduce on their own, eliminating the need for a single reproductive leader. This rare adaptation helps them quickly establish new colonies without depending on a queen's survival. Ants can also predict storms. Some species have been observed retreating to their nests hours before heavy rain arrives, sealing entrances to keep water out. Scientists believe they can detect tiny changes in humidity and air pressure, allowing them to take cover before the storm hits. Another amazing skill: some ants can swim. The diving ant, Polyarchus sokolova, is one of the few species adapted to underwater life. These ants build nests in mangroves and can survive underwater for long periods by trapping air bubbles in their exoskeletons. And if that's not impressive enough, some ants can even store food inside their bodies. The honeypot ant has specialized workers called repletes, which hang from the ceiling of the nest, their abdomens swollen with sweet liquid. When food is scarce, the colony taps into these living storage tanks for nourishment. But ants aren't just great at storing food, they can also store memories. Research has shown that ants have excellent long-term memory and can remember foraging paths and safe nesting sites for weeks or even months. Their sense of smell is also extraordinary. Ants have more olfactory receptors than most insects, allowing them to detect minute traces of food, danger, or even their own colony members from long distances. Some ants have evolved to mimic other creatures. The Myrmarachne jumping spider mimics the movements of ants to avoid predators. But what's even more incredible is that some ants mimic other ant species. This deception allows them to sneak into enemy colonies unnoticed, sometimes to steal food or even trick workers into raising their young. And here's something even more bizarre. Some ants have bodyguards. Certain plants produce special structures called domatia, which house aggressive ant species that defend the plant from herbivores. These ants will attack anything that dares to nibble on their home, acting as a built-in security system for the plant. Ants are also expert grave robbers. Some species scavenge the corpses of dead insects and bring them back to the nest to feed their colony. Others steal pupae from rival colonies, raising them as their own, or using them as a food source. But perhaps one of the strangest ant behaviors is their ability to form highways. Certain species, like the Sahara desert ant, create scent-marked highways in the sand that guide workers back and forth between food sources and the nest. These trails can last for hours and help thousands of ants navigate efficiently. Ants even have their own version of war elephants, except in this case, it's war beetles. Some army ants form partnerships with large beetles that travel with the colony, feeding on scraps and helping in battle by attacking enemy ants or intruders. And if you think only humans use medicine, think again. Some ants collect tree resin, which has antibacterial properties, and place it around their nests to prevent infections. This is one of the earliest known examples of insects using natural medicine. But not all ants live in massive colonies. Some species, like the Dracula ant, have small secretive colonies and engage in a shocking survival strategy. They consume the blood of their own larvae. This behavior, called non-destructive cannibalism, allows them to survive in nutrient-poor environments without killing their young. Speaking of shocking abilities, the Dracula ant also holds a world record. It has the fastest animal movement ever recorded. These ants can snap their jaws shut at speeds of 200 miles per hour, 322 kilometers per hour, stunning prey instantly. Some ants have even evolved to be silent assassins. The trapjaw ant has mandibles that snap shut with immense force, launching itself into the air to escape predators or capture prey. This jaw-powered jump is one of the fastest escape mechanisms in the insect world. And here's something really unusual. Some ants practice time travel in a way. The workers of certain species can pause their development if environmental conditions aren't right. When conditions improve, they resume growth, ensuring the colony always has a steady supply of new workers. Did you know that some ants never leave their nest? The yellow crazy ant has workers that never see daylight because their entire life is spent caring for the queen, tending to the larvae, and maintaining the tunnels. The outside world remains a mystery to them. And while we often think of ants as ground dwellers, some species have conquered the highest peaks. Himalayan ants survive in freezing temperatures at altitudes above 4,000 meters, where oxygen is thin and food is scarce. Even in extreme environments, ants find a way to thrive. Some live inside acacia trees, forming an unbreakable partnership with their plant host. The tree provides food and shelter, while the ants protect it from grazing animals and even clip away competing plants that try to grow nearby. But perhaps the most surprising thing about ants is their impact on the environment. They move more soil than earthworms, aerating the ground and helping plants grow. They even help spread seeds, playing a crucial role in maintaining ecosystems around the world. From their survival strategies to their mind-blowing teamwork, ants prove that even the tiniest creatures can be among the most powerful on Earth.